In the heart of the nation, there's a spark that ignites. Mona Miller, a patriot in the brightest of lights. A veteran of battles, both seen and unseen. With a smile like sunshine, she's people's queen. Mona Miller, with wisdom to share. A buck tussler of joy beyond compare. She'll challenge propaganda with a grin so wide. A beacon of hope in this turbulent time. From the times of her service to the streets that she roams, Mona spreads laughter like seeds she has sown. With a twinkle in her eye and a joke on her lips, she's a warrior for happiness in a world that often slips. Mona Miller, a light in the dark. With her kindness and humor, she leaves her mark. In the battle for joy, she'll never back down. A true buck hustler and her smile we drown. The trials and hardships, she stood tall. With a heart full of love, she answers the call. For Mona knows the power of a smile sincere. She'll share it with all spreading cheer. Mona Miller, a force to behold. In the fight for happiness, she's bold. With her laughter and grace, she leads the way. A true buck hustler, come what may. So here's to Mona Miller in her quest to bring cheer. Symbol of joy, a world that's soft and clear. May her laughter resound in the hearts of all she meets. Mona Miller, a buck tussler sweet.
Well, good evening, everybody. Guess what? It's Remembrance Day, the 80th anniversary of the invasion of Normandy. Yes, at Omaha Beach. Why today, many of our, probably all that we have left, got to attend the ceremonies there in France. And it was so wonderful to see them so happy that they got to go back and celebrate the lives of all the heroes that died that day. And there was many heroes that died that day. But today we're going to talk about those that are alive, still willing to tell their stories, however hard it is to remember and impossible to forget. This morning I woke up. I decided I'd lay down and take a nap about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Yeah, I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning. And I got on my YouTube. And I went to looking around for some of them special memories of some of the things we should never forget. The price of freedom came at a very, very high cost. And today, through the luxury of Facebook, YouTube, whatever, I'm going to try to share some of those stories with you today. Some of those that I found to be very impelling. And I hope you enjoy this little montage of stories from Normandy. Just a moment here. I'm getting it up here. Have to get the commercial out of the way. You know how that is. All right. I think oh, they're going to run another commercial. You know how they do. All right. I'm going to skip this commercial. And we're going to come up here and I'm going to present. I'm going to share my screen.
And knocked this kid's head plumb off. I couldn't even tell what he looked like. I had my pistol loaded with a hammer back and my hand on that trigger on that M1. And there was three of them. I knew I could get two of them, but I didn't know about that other. There was one during that winter when everything was so cold. It was raining, sleeting, and snowing, going into battle. And there'd been a company of some kind already fought there. And I guess we was going there to help them. And I seen wounded soldiers, sit down by a tree and freeze to death. Nobody there to help them. Just absolutely freeze to death. Be icicles hanging on them. That's, well, when you're 18, 19 years old, that's kind of hard to take. And there was a German behind it, and he had his rifle pointing right at my belly. And the Germans had caught him, I guess, and they had put rope around the back of their head, into their mouth, and drug them to death. I looked them all over. They wasn't wounded nowhere, but they drug them until they killed him. That's the thing about the SS troopers. I hollered at him the second time, and he didn't move. And I up with my old 45 pistol, and I shot him, and his head fell off. I went down to see what I'd done, and I shot Hitler. And this is the Purple Heart with the cluster from being wounded twice. It ain't hard to remember, it's hard to tell it. Hello, my name's William Norman Parker, but I go by the name of Bill. I'm Bill Parker. Everybody knows me by that name. I'm a veteran, of course, in the infantry, 116th Infantry. Where I was raised is in Oklahoma, down in the mountains. And I think the way I was raised in the mountains, in the creeks, and hunting and things, I think that was part of the reason I made it through the war. I think that I already knew how to shoot. I already knew how to get through the woods. And me and my brother played cowboy and Indian, and I'd hide, and he'd find me. But I learned a lot of things that way, and it worked out good in the Army. We did not have any electricity. We didn't have any telephones. We didn't have any gas. We burnt wood in the fireplace, wood in the kitchen stove. We used coal oil lamps. I used to tell that Dad would give me a 22 with one shell and tell me to get a squirrel. Anyway, I don't think it's quite that bad, though. I think probably had more than one shell, but that's the way I told it. And anyway, there was times that we didn't have any meat other than squirrels and rabbits. I was got a call from the Army when I was in high school, and Dad went down and got me deferred for a month so I could finish school. And I never was very smart, but anyway, why I was 18, and I had a good girlfriend. We wanted to get married, but I told her that we wouldn't until I got back, and I knew that I already had a call to the Army, and that I was either going to France or to Japan, and I didn't want her to be a widow at 19. So we didn't get married. Well, when I got on the big ship in New York City, and I didn't want to go. I went over and looked over the side of that ship, and I could see that the shore was right there. Well, like I had swam along a lot of times that far. And I just thought to myself, I'm going to get off of this thing going far enough. But I looked at that water and it was full of ice and dirty as you could see. So I decided better stay on that ship. And they sent me on to England. I don't know exactly where, but we were close to a big prison called in the Moors, they called it. And we had to march around that big prison, and we took training there for the invasion. We got on landing crafts, and they had a beach they called Slapped in the Sand, and we attacked it. And every time I got in one of those landing crafts, I got seasick. I wasn't no sailor. I got sick going across the ocean. They put me on KPs, but I'd be sick. But the morning of the invasion, they gave us all a sack so we didn't have to put our heads over sides, I never got a bit sick. I can't tell you the difference, but I never got sick. First night we were there, we just got off of the ship and was taking us somewhere, and they had an air raid. All of these air raid sirens went off. They took us down into a basement, and when they dropped them bombs, you could hear them going. Well, they had what they called a buzz bomb. I guess it had a motor on it, because as long as you could hear that motor, you was all right. But when it quit, you knew that thing was coming down. And when them bombs hit, you can nearly see them walls come in. They shook the whole thing, made them dust everywhere. That's the way they broke me in on first night I was in England. I was assigned to the 29th Division, the 116th Infantry, as a replacement. I was in the war cutting section. In fact, I was leading the war cutters. We had what they called a Bangalore torpedo that was about 6 foot long and about 3 inches or something like that around. It had amytal in each end and dynamite in the middle. A amytal is a lot stouter than dynamite, So when we set it off, why, it blew the wire. That's the way we cut the wire. Anyway, why, that's what I trained for in England, was to blow the wire. Well,
The Federal Reserve Bank of New York just issued a digital dollar.
Oh well. I don't know how to get. I can't get rid of it, guys. I don't know how. I found it. I hope I'm doing this right, guys. If I'm not, you'll have to forgive me. All right. You can go on StreamYard and see the rest. I mean, on YouTube and see the rest of that Lynn story. I don't want to. I'm not going to play them in whole. I'm just going to play bits and pieces because they are long stories. But I want you guys to know the price of freedom.
When we landed at Omaha Beach, well, it was all chaos. I mean, it was just, but we were constant under fire, constant. And you try to forget all that. It's something you can't forget. My full name is Onofrio Zakari. They call me Nono. My father was a shoemaker. In fact, I still got one of those machines out in the garage yet. And I grew up in an Italian family. I lived in the town Geneva, New York. I remember Pearl Harbor. It was snowing. It was no wintertime, of course. When it happened, I felt like I should go. I mean, go into service, but I had to stay and help support the family. And so I just stayed out as long as I could. I didn't volunteer for anything. I had to go. Left New York, went to California, and took all my desert training in Gulf, California. We thought we were going to go to Africa. General Patton was out there taking his maneuvers at the time. All his tanks were there. And when we saw that, we thought we were going to go to Africa, the desert. We had desert training. So we were there maybe about 6 months, and they shipped us back to Virginia. We hopped on the ship. Took us about 14 days. and we landed in Scotland, rather. I said, geez, this isn't Africa, this is Europe, you know. We thought we were going to the desert. Now they're training us for an amphibian. Of course, they're preparing us for the invasion is what they were doing. That went on for about 6 months, but I don't think we had enough training, though.
In June of 1944, after 4 long years of German dominance throughout Europe, the Allies were prepared to invade the French coast and bring Hitler's forces to ruin. D-Day was the open door by which American, British, and Canadian forces would bring liberation to the European people. But first, they must face the beaches of Normandy, heavily fortified with German might.
We knew we were going into. We just didn't know when. A lot of times we would go out, stay out on board ship for 2 or 3 days. Is this going to be it or is it not? We didn't know when the real thing was going to happen. And then they told us this is the real thing. No, there's no playing around. We landed in the 5th wave, and everybody was nervous, of course. I was in a state of grace. I don't know if you're Catholics or not, but I was Catholic. And I was in a state of grace. I wasn't afraid of dying. I was scared, but I wasn't afraid of dying. If I die, I die. That's all. We only had 5 ducks in the outfit, just 5, and that was the company. But they got knocked out immediately. They didn't even make one landing. So we were without any equipment or anything. We were soldiers, that's all. When we landed in water up to our necks. Lost all our equipment. When we landed with just our rifles, that's it. We don't know who we were. We lost our outfit. We're all scattered. And all we kept hearing was, we got to go inland, got to go inland. So we had to go. When we landed at Omaha Beach, well, it was all chaos. I mean, it was just, but we were constant under fire, constantly. Our first casualty was this Don Simmons. He was the last one off the landing craft, and he was killed. And that was my first, death that I've seen. And seen a lot of dead soldiers. And you try to forget all that. It's something you can't forget. This GI was sitting in a corner, and he was sitting on his helmet. He was a redhead. I'll never forget him. And he was holding his guts. He was just torn apart. And he was holding his guts like this. And he kept saying, I'm going home, I'm going home, I'm going home. And I said, I wish you luck. I don't know if he made it or not. Me and Frank Floriano, we had crawled up to this landing craft that was knocked out, and a shell had just landed behind us.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is not.
Skipping it as quickly as I can, guys.
That's when I got hit, and I caught a piece of shrapnel in my leg. I don't think we had that good of a training, really, but there was a lot of soldiers, you know that.
Wave after wave, the Allied troops continued to pour in. Although they suffered some 10,000 casualties, the Allies landed over 150,000 troops on the beach, overwhelming German forces and eventually winning the day.
I mean, 3 days later, we had to go back and clean up the the bodies and whatnot. And they used to throw the bodies up in the pickup, bring them up to the where they were going to bury them. And they were piling them on top of one another. And Father Flanagan says, no, he says, you lay my boys down flat, individually. You treat them. He said, those are my boys. Every time I think about it, I get choked up. But he was always tears running down. He was giving the last rites, you know. And he was, that was one of the things I really remember. Of course, we had to sleep. You got to sleep. But the Germans wouldn't let us sleep. Flying the low planes, come down real slow. We thought we were going to get strafed. They're just keeping us awake. But I slept, though. I could sleep. I could really sleep. I just make the sign of the cross, say a good prayer, and says, if I wake up, I wake up. If I don't wake up, forget it. I was in a state of grace, and I'm all right. But other than that, I was all right.
Nono's state of grace would keep him throughout the war, from the push across France to the Battle of the Bulge, where he joined with 101st Airborne at Bastogne. Though he suffered frostbite due to the bitter cold, grace would eventually see him safely to the end of the war, when German forces finally surrendered in May of 1945.
So we finally board ship. I don't remember even coming home from Europe. It's weird. I don't remember the boat. I don't remember anything. All I remember was that it landed in New York and was discharged by an officer. And that was it.
In June of 2019, Nono was afforded a trip back to the beaches of Normandy, exactly 75 years after the D-Day invasion. This momentous occasion not only brought on a torrent of memories, but also much needed closure.
It was quite interesting. That's when I found Don Simmons. I found his grave there, and I said a little prayer. I talk to kids. I go to some schools a lot of the time, and I keep telling the kids, nothing glory about the wars. Believe me, horrible, horrible. I was wounded at Normandy. I didn't care whether I got the medal or not, but my kids wanted it. My brother had one, a Purple Heart. They said, Dad says, you deserve it. You should get it. I said, all right, we'll try. Nobody believed me. I mean, they wanted to know, they wanted medical history. It had to be written down by medics. The medics would take care of me. He saw that I was wounded, so he wrapped me up. He fixed it up. But he was killed. My medics was killed shortly after that. It was 2 days later, I caught an infection. I had another medic look at it. He looked at it, cleaned me up. There's never made a report. There's never a medical report. I didn't go to what they call sick call every morning. You know, who the hell's going to go to sick call every morning in Normandy? You know what I mean? I had a couple buddies. They wrote letters stating that I was wounded. Then I had my commanding officer. He wrote a letter. This went on for many, many, many years. That's when Zach came in. He worked, 2-3 years. He wouldn't give up. In fact, I gave up. Even with Zach, I gave up. He said, no, he said, I'm not going to give up. And he worked hard. I finally got it. And they presented me with the award down here in Vegas. No, my kids are happy. I'm happy. So I survived. My kids, thank God I did. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me.
Hi, everyone. I'm Josh from Memoirs of World War II, and I just want to say thank you for watching this episode. Our goal is to capture as many World War II veteran stories as we can from all over the world, but we can't do it alone. If you'd like to help us in this mission, consider supporting us through Patreon and check out our website, memoirsofworldwar2.com, for more information. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. Again, we want to thank you for your support.
Well, what do y'all think? You know, he made it home, created a family, and lived the life of freedom until now. You know, I love my World War II vets. That they mean so much to me. I mean, I'm losing more and more of them every year. But during Veterans Week, I always get a chance to put my arms around at least one, maybe two. I believe last year the number ended up being 4. I keep track. And my Korean vets, they're getting thinner too. But if we could only remember the cost of freedom, and how many are really would be willing to go through what those young boys did over there in Normandy. Most of them young boys was 17 to 22 that hit that beach. Thousands died and never came home. They paid the ultimate price, and thousands more were wounded during that invasion. But we liberated France and went on to win the war because of brave men willing to die for freedom. So, y'all, it's time to do the story. Everybody ready? You got your capture on so you can capture this and be able to share it with others. It's my gift to you, and only in a way that only I can do it. So here goes. As you're walking past this here county courthouse square, and on the park bench, feller was sitting there. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, feller, your old courthouse is mighty run down." And he said, "Well, yeah, but it'll do for our little town." I said, "Yes, sir, but your old flagboat, she sure is a little bit. And that there, what that there, sir, is a ragged, it's old flag you got hanging on it." And he looked at me and he said, "Honey, I think you need to have a seat." So I sat down, and he said, "I reckon this here's the first time you've been to our little town. You see, honey, the folks around here, they don't like to brag, but they just happen to be mighty proud of that ragged old flag. Why, she got that little hole there the night that General Washington up and took across the Delaware. Why, she got them powder burns the night that Francis Scott Key sat watching her as he was arriving. Oh, say, can you see? Why, she got cut with a sword down there in Chancellorsville. And she got cut again up there on Shiloh Hill. Why, she got that big old rip down in New Orleans when Packingham and Jackson went tugging at her seams. Why, with Robert E. Lee and Beauregard and Bragg. Oh, baby, that old south wind blew mighty hard on that ragged old flag. Why, she nearly fell at the Alamo. But, honey, beside that Texas flag, she waved on. And she got that great big old hole back in World War One from the shell of one of them big old German Bertha guns. And I'm here to tell you, I seen her turn blood red in World War II. And she hung limp and low a time or two. But she went to Korea. And she stood right beside them young boys over there in Vietnam. And proudly, she did 100 days in Saudi out on the burning sand. You know, baby, that old flag, she's went everywhere she's been sent by her Uncle Sam. And proudly, we have always waved her from ships out on the briny foam. But the truth is, we've just about quit waving her right back here at home. Like in her own homeland, she's being abused. She's been burned, dishonored, denied, and refused. And this here government, for which she stands, why, it is scandalized throughout the land. Do you remember when terrorists came out of the sky and thousands of people would suffer and die? When 911 was the call, when on 911, those towers did fall. But Americans, they stood up and they gave her a hand. And proudly upon that graveyard rubble, that old flag did stand. Now I know you think she's threadbare and wearing kind of thin. But honey, she's in pretty good shape for the shape she's in. You see, she's been through the fire before. And I happen to believe she can take a whole lot more. You see, honey, I'm the old feller that raises her up every morning. And I take her down every night. And I ain't ever gonna let her touch the ground. And I'm always gonna take the time necessary to fold her up right. Well, on second thought, I do like to brag, 'cause I'm mighty proud of that ragged old flag. Hugs. Go bug tussle somebody today. If you don't know the meaning of the word bug tussle, let me explain it. To bug tussle someone is to make a stranger smile. I don't care if it's a nice word. You know, you're going in the grocery store line and somebody there looks really nice. You go, oh, wow, I love your dress. You know, it always brings such a smile to their face. They've been bug tussled. And then you get a chance, you challenge them to bug tussle someone else. If we can do more bug tussling around this world, we might have a little more positive energy floating around the planet. It's just the little bitty things that count. It's the kind word, the opening of a door, the helping with your groceries. It's the little things that count, okay? The extra little tip on the table for the hardworking waitress. They're service people too. It's called service work. So guys, everybody's hurting. We're all in this same boat together, and we'll get through it. We'll vote on November 5th, and we will inaugurate Donald J. Trump as our president on the 20th of January. So guys, keep your spirits up. All right, I'm going to take a few minutes here to read the chat. Okay. Yeah, my Cash App, folks, is Cash App, $, bug tussling. That's BUGTUSSLING. I am presently collecting money to help us reserve the state park here at Table Rock State Park for the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th of November in order to have our convoy of honor and our Trump cruise through Branson. He'll win on the 5th, and we're going to Trump this place out on the 9th. So y'all make your reservations over at the Table Rock State Park for camping. There's lots of hotels, motels in Branson. You can do it there. Or if you want to help out and you want us to have that beautiful pavilion and park for our gathering, yeah, add something to the Cash App. One more time, that's $BUGTUSSLING. We're going to have a great celebration. We've got sit-down dinners at Golden Corral Theater for the 8th and 9th, beginning at, our doors will open at 6:30. We'll have dinner. You do have to pay for your meal, guys. And it's the best meal in town, cheapest bargain, under $20 for your meal. And your drinks are free with the group, and they are bottomless. All right. Now, it doesn't my Cash App doesn't recognize it without a link. I don't know how to do that. Angie, if you're still in here, can you help Lucky Me Linda with the problem? I don't know how to put a link in of my Cash App except that it's Cash App. I don't know how to do that. I'm lost. Okay, I'm totally lost. I don't know if I have a link for that at all. Never been asked that question, Lucky Me Linda. I've never. Everybody's just gone to Mona Moments. Cash App equals Cash App bug tussling. Maybe you can get it through app Mona Moments. I think Chris put that up there. I hope. Guys, there's 19 people watching. Okay. I hope y'all push the like button. You know, I really want to start getting some building going out here, you know. And I'm going to make my stories a little more on the lighter side, I promise. But today was D-Day. And I tried to end with a more positive video of a man returning home and to his family and it coming to an end. I hope that all the other sad stories you might go watch on my Facebook page. I did post several of them this morning of survivors, people who made it back. So, okay. I hope everything works out fine, guys. I don't have my Cash App on my phone turned on. It'll drop it the minute I turn it on. If anybody adds anything, I'll let you know that I started out today with $75 and I need $300 to go make the reservation. I just got to walk across the street and take the card in there and make the reservation, but I can't do it until I have the total $300 in order to reserve the whole 4-day weekend. Veterans Week. Okay, if somebody don't snatch it before I do. So, okay, I don't know how it works, guys. You're gonna have to go Google it, maybe. I don't know how it works. Okay. I guess I'd have to ask Soup Mama. Now, Soup Mama said if you can send it to her, you can send it to her through Venmo, PayPal, all those things to Soup Mama Official. And as long as you mark it Convoy of Honor, okay, she will forward it on to me. Okay, so if you can't use Cash App, but you have Venmo or PayPal, you can do it through Soup Mama Official. And she will, as long as you put a thing in there, this is for Mona or this is for the CHCOH, Convoy of Honor, whatever, in the memo, she'll make sure and immediately transfer it to my Cash App account. So you can do it that way also, okay? I don't know, Miss Angie. She said you needed a link to get to my Cash App account, okay? And as far as I know, you just type in $ Cash App. I don't know how that's done. Oh, okay. It's in the Convoy. The whole link is in the Convoy of Honor info page. So just go to Facebook to the Convoy of Honor info page, and everything's right there. I reckon. Okay, that works. That works very well because then it comes through the actual business. So that's great, Angie. Thank you very much for that. How am I doing? Got 17 still watching. You want me to continue to do these on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Would you put a 1 for yes, a 2 for no? And I'll switch my content around or something. Okay. I'm going to take my banner down. That was something new. I just tried that. I ain't done that before. So, guys, been on here long enough. I'm going to go. Tell you I love you. Please take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Bug tussle someone. And when you stop, when you see a uniform, okay? And let them know that you honor them, okay? Bye-bye.